how corporate greed shapes gentrification and displacement. Explore how corporate greed drives gentrification, pushing out communities, changing neighborhoods, and influencing urban development policies. The role of corporate greed in gentrification. What's really going on? You know, every time I walk through some neighborhoods that have been completely transformed, I can't help but think about the forces behind those changes. People often talk about gentrification like it just happens naturally, or is driven by folks simply wanting a nicer place to live. But the real story? It's way more complicated, and a big chunk of it comes down to corporate greed. Now let me break it down like I'm explaining to a close friend. Why does a neighborhood change so drastically in just a few years? Suddenly, rent goes up, longtime residents get pushed out, mom-and-pop shops close, and all these new high-end cafes and boutiques pop up. On the surface, it looks like growth and progress, but underneath, a lot of it is fueled by big corporations and investment firms looking to maximize their profits. Think about it. When major companies or real estate investors get involved in an area, their main goal is increasing property values as fast as possible. They don't exactly have the community's best interests at heart. Instead, they're eyeing the potential for massive returns. It's a classic case of corporate greed shaping entire neighborhoods, dictating who gets to stay and who has to leave. And this isn't just local businesses either. Sometimes these huge players are flipping entire blocks or even whole districts purely to attract wealthier tenants and shoppers. One thing that's wild about this is how often city governments are complicit, intentionally or not. There are a lot of policies and development plans that seem to favor these big interests, and sometimes it feels like there's a sort of government conspiracy to allow or even encourage this kind of displacement. The justification usually is economic development or urban renewal, but in many cases, it just leads to wealthier residents pushing out the people who have been there for decades. What makes this especially frustrating is that gentrification doesn't just affect housing prices. It changes the very identity of a neighborhood. The cultural landmarks, local hangouts, and community services all shift to cater to those who have more money to spend. And if you look closer, you might notice similar patterns in other industries, like those crazy pharmaceutical profits we read about, where corporate greed drives price hikes with little regard for the everyday person. It's a reminder that this issue is part of a broader pattern in how corporations prioritize profit over people. And for those listening who've heard some of the more extreme theories out there, I'm not saying all allegations around these issues are true. In fact, quite a few are untrue allegations or exaggerations. But the evidence that corporate greed plays a huge role in gentrification is solid and backed by plenty of studies and real-world examples. So, what can be done? Well, communities have started fighting back by pushing for policies that protect affordable housing, enforce rent controls, and involve residents in decision-making processes. But it's an uphill battle. Corporate interests have way more resources, and their influence usually extends into local politics and media. It's really a matter of raising awareness and demanding transparency. If you're into stories that explore some of these socio-political dynamics, I recently came across a novel called The Ultimate Frame by Andrew M. Semple. It's thrilling, yes, but it also cleverly touches on these types of issues, from power struggles to hidden agendas in our society. It's a great reminder of how fiction can shine a light on real problems, all while keeping you entertained. Discover this thrilling novel by Andrew M. Semple today. Check out The Ultimate Frame to get a fresh perspective on the complexities of modern life and the forces shaping our cities. So next time you walk through a neighborhood feeling the change, remember, it's not just about people wanting nicer places. It's often a story about who holds the power to decide who belongs and who doesn't. Corporate greed isn't just an abstract phrase, it's a real force impacting communities every day.